Okay. Well, oh, is that my screen? Yeah, it's my screen that's dark. Oops. Okay. Well, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, I guess, depending on wherever you may be. It's Monday, so yeah, I stepped away to get my laptop. I'm late. Apologies. Um, but yeah, we're here to talk about New Hampshire. Whew, what a race. Or what a couple of races, really. Um, I'm just making sure all things are functional. All right, they seem functional enough. Hello, David. Daniel Berry Sports Highlights. Get me today! Exclamation point tech. In between the lanes. Hope you guys are all doing well. But yeah, pretty crazy weekend at New Hampshire. Both series used the rain tires, the wet weather tires, whatever we're gonna officially call them. Apologies. It's that time of year where it's hot, and it's hot up here. So we may get to the point in the summer where we actually have to move back the live stream to an hour or so later just to make sure it's not super hot. I know I'm inside, but the sun comes through the windows. Even the blinds are down, but just, anyways, we're not here to talk about that. Christopher Bell sweeps the Magic Mile. Yeah, Christopher Bell. I don't know why he is so freaking. I mean, he's a really good race car driver. We can all say that. I think he's a future Cup champion. I think many would agree with me, but I don't know what it is about New Hampshire, but something about it he just hasn't figured out. I really don't know, but he has it figured out. So it's bizarre. It's not. I mean, it's not a complete surprise to see him win, but just to see him win so consistently at one point, it's blows my mind. So yeah, Christopher Bell once again does it at New Hampshire in the Xfinity Series, and then the Cup Series. It's his second ever win at New Hampshire. He now has tied for the most wins in the series this season, tied with Byron, Hamlin, and Larson. And he has the second most playoff points right now, too. I think he has the second most stage wins, so that's why he's behind Larson. But making his way up in the regular season standings, I think he's up to 5th or 6th. So yeah, these last few weeks, he's been the hottest driver, arguably. Won the Coke 600, had winning speed at Gateway. Sonoma, I think he was top 10, I want to say. Iowa, he was top 5, and then another win here today. So they're on fire right now through this summer stretch. So we'll see if they can continue that into the playoffs. They need to add up those playoff points, though, because Larson and Bell have a similar situation where they have a track in the round of 16 and the round of 12 that they're really good at, but the other two are road courses and super speedways, and both of them are decent road course guys who can win road courses, but neither of them are really good super speedway racers. So it could get freaky. They got to add up their playoff points, so it's really important for those two, I would say. Get me today! Exclamation point tech. My new favorite driver is now Ross Chastain, very underrated driver, and always outperformed his JD Motorsports equipment back in the day. Yeah, Chastain, I mean, his story is something to be a fan of for sure. You know, going from JD Motorsports, getting his chance with Chip Ganassi Racing in the Xfinity Series, winning a race with them, and then obviously eventually getting to that Cup Series, running at Colleague for a year or two in the Xfinity Series, and then getting the chance at Trackhouse, making the championship in his first year with Trackhouse. And I know Trackhouse has not quite been that same level since 2022, but still an organization that can win races. Of course, Chastain won 2 races last year as well. He's top 10 in the points right now, I think. I know he hasn't won a race. I know his teammate has, but once again, that was a super speedway. So Chastain, they haven't quite shown winning speed yet for the one car, but they've shown consistent top 10, top 12 speed, I'd say. So while Chastain is not quite, and Trackhouse as a whole just is not to the level they've been the last 2 years, they're still a good team that will more than likely make the playoffs. Sheldon Creed has the record for the most second-place finishes with 10 without a win. Yeah, that's like the one stat. I guess the only other stat you wouldn't want to have is like the most DNFs in NASCAR history. I guess that's one stat you wouldn't want to have, or like, I don't know. I mean, there's some pretty bad stats to have, and that's one of them. But I keep on saying, like, yeah, you're up there for a reason. You're getting second place so much for a reason. Like, you're eventually going to break through, but it feels like Sheldon Creed is cursed. Like, on that last restart when he got the lead or when he bumped Custer, I was like, oh my God, it's going to happen. Today's the day. But I should have known Sheldon Creed and his luck and his curse or whatever, it wasn't going to happen. And, of course, it didn't happen. So, yeah, I mean, it's just crazy, man. Sheldon Creed, he can't keep finishing second, right? Right? Like, but apparently he can. So, anyways. Second win for Christopher Bell with the Ream scheme in 2024. The other one was at Phoenix. He also won the Coke 600 in the Ream. It was a patriotic Ream scheme, but it was Ream, so I guess technically all three have been Ream. But anyways. Hate it for Kyle Busch. Oh my God, that had to have been, if not the worst, maybe the second worst race of Kyle Busch's career. To wreck 3 separate times, and with at least 2 of them being faults. And I don't even know, man. They've been bad at New Hampshire. Kyle Busch has had some rough goes at New Hampshire the past few years, but this was different. I mean, oh my God, like that was rough to watch. Like, I know everyone hates Kyle Busch, or they at least used to hate Kyle Busch, and everyone rooted for him to wreck. But yesterday was like, even Kyle Busch's biggest haters were like, man, I kind of feel bad for the guy. So that was crazy to just be that bad, to be that off, but he was. So it's just, I don't know, man. I don't think they're gonna make the playoffs. I just don't. It's very sad. JD Motorsports backmarker equipment now because Chastain and Castle were playoff contenders in that 4 car, especially Chastain. Yeah, I remember, that Xfinity playoff bubble, Chastain and Castle, they were always like 13th, 14th, 15th. They were on the like playoff grid that they showed, just the outside looking in. So yeah, I mean, it's just how it goes sometimes. Teams kind of have rough patches and whatnot, but yeah, JD Motorsports it's been rough for them. 3 wide in Xfinity. Yeah, once again, the Xfinity Series producing great racing, producing a great finish, regardless of wherever they are, whatever racetrack they're on. So yeah, the Xfinity Series, man. What's up, Craig? Hope you're doing well. I kind of blew through those. Went fast. But let's see here. Let's look up the regular season standings. Larson and Elliott are tied, but Larson has the tiebreaker due to the fact that he has more wins. Hamlin's 40 behind. Truex is 48 behind. Reddick's 60 behind. Everyone else is a race or more back. So, yeah. Oh, no, don't do that, computer. Paint schemes. Yeah, the 1 car was in the words are hard. Kubota scheme. I always like it, whether it's on the 1 or the 99. I said that last week. I'll say it again this week. There were some new schemes, but not necessarily that were like great. Like the 14 was something different for sure with the blue and yellow, but I didn't love it. But I didn't hate it. I was pretty neutral on it, I'd say. Other than that, a lot of basic paint schemes. I don't know. My brain's not fully operational right now, it feels like. So I'm probably forgetting some, but yeah, I don't know. It's so annoying that Nashville's not going to be. That is genuinely terrible because I went to this race last year and it was a night race, and you always get to a race a couple hours early. So we got there at 4-ish. I think the race was 6:30-ish. So we got there at 4, and it was pretty brutal. Like, you were aiming for the shade. They had coolers. They had free water. They had towels, and yeah, it was pretty brutal. Like, I have no idea why that's not a night race. That's just cruel, honestly. Like, this race last year, if it was run in the afternoon, that would have been terrible. They have lights. I don't know why this is not a night race. I genuinely don't. I think this is a terrible decision to make it an afternoon race. Maybe it'll make the racing. I mean, this race last year was one of the best of the year. So it's not, the car and track combination works well. So it's not like you need the track hot and slick to wear the tires and make more mistakes and all that. Like, it's a good track with this car. I don't know why we're doing this at 2:30 in the afternoon. Like, it's going to be hot. In fact, maybe they're lucky. Maybe Nashville will be having a cool front. Tennessee weather. Why did I look this up? If you're going to the Xfinity race, first of all, yeah, that's going to be brutal. The high on Saturday is 97 degrees. That's without the heat index and the humidity and all that stuff. So have fun at the Xfinity race. That thing starts at 4 in the heat of the day. Sunday, there's a chance of rain, and the high is 92. So even if it just rains in the morning, it's going to be humid. So I genuinely don't understand this decision, but okay. Whatever NBC says. But, oh, good news. As of now, it's supposed to rain all the way up till 5 p.m. So that would force it to be a night race. So we do have that going for us. That would force it to be a night race. I don't know. Kind of cool, I guess. The weather forcing NASCAR to have the night race that they didn't want. Anyways, it's still 6 days until the actual race. The weather can change so much that I'm not even going to think about it twice. Do you think Haas will go back to Chevy or stay with Ford? I think they said that they want to try to stay with Ford, so they're going to try, but I don't know how good they'll be. They're obviously not going to be a tier 1 team, but are they essentially just going to flip positions with front row? Front row moves to tier A, and Haas moves to tier B, tier C, whatever front row was. I don't know what the official plan is, but it sounds like they want to. But if not, obviously, Chevy or Toyota, those are your options, unless there's a third manufacturer and you can do a short-term deal with someone and be back markers for a couple of years. Yeah, it's essentially a waste of time in a sense, but if you can get a Honda deal or Hyundai, whoever comes on board, then you could potentially be their A team and, go be competitive week in and week out. So, yeah, there's a lot of things to think about. Keselowski had the Red Sox. Yeah, I forgot about that. I got a friend who's from the Boston area, and I sent him a picture of the car, and he was very excited to see a Red Sox car. So, yeah, I mean, for sure, that was a cool paint scheme. I always like it when there's a sports team or a college or something that sponsors a car. It's unique. It's a one-off. They always do it at the location. Like Jeff Gordon had a Penn State paint scheme at Pocono. Let's see. Alex Bowman had a University of Michigan paint scheme at Michigan, obviously. So, yeah, I mean, it's always fun when you get to see a sports team or, as I said, a college and, seeing the Red Sox. I'm not a Red Sox fan. I don't really like most Boston teams, but, it was a cool paint scheme. The color, the history of the Red Sox, obviously. They've won a lot of championships, so, it was cool. I agree with that. I don't see Kyle making the chase either. I don't see him renewing his contract in 2026. Yeah, I mean, there's so many questions up in the air with Kyle Busch, and, that one rumor came out about Kyle Busch, in his contract. If it wasn't for RCR opting in on his contract, that he'd be looking elsewhere. And yeah, I mean, obviously he's reaching the end of his career. He wants to be competitive. He's a Hall of Famer. You don't want to see him go out like Jimmy Johnson did, or Tony Stewart. You want to see him at the top of his game, kind of like what Jeff Gordon did. So what Truex is doing right now, you want to see it like that, where they're consistently competing for wins, where they're top 5 in the points. But RCR, and someone, I think it was Estep, pointed this out last night, that, Chevy outside of Hendrick has not been too hot this year. Atlanta, yeah, Suarez won, but, Chastain's been 8th to 12th at best. I can't remember when he had top 5 speed. Suarez has struggled outside of the win. He's had a couple of random top 10s. JTG Doherty's just kind of been mid-pack. RCR has struggled mightily. I mean, outside of Hendrick, Chevy's not doing too hot. So maybe it's a Chevy thing. Maybe it's just an RCR thing. I don't know. We could think about this all day, but for sure, Kyle Busch is not happy right now. I'm assuming he wants to be more competitive. Well, I know that for a fact, but I think it also hurts more that they're coming off a 3-win season. I know all 3 of those wins came in the first half of 2023, but the fact that they had a 3-win season last year, and this year they're 45 points below the cutoff line right now. It's mind-blowing how quickly a team can fall off in a sense. So, yeah, I mean, lots of frustrations, but there's so many other contract situations that I don't even want to think about Kyle Busch next year. The Briscoe to JGR announcement, by the way, that is happening tomorrow. So get ready for that. Sorry, I got behind on comments. Thankfully, the Richmond night races are back. Yeah, I know Richmond. I was there last summer for a family event, and it was June, and it was pretty hot. So having that race in mid-August, I think that's good that that's going to be a night race. But, short track package in this car, it'll probably be a not great race. But maybe we can get some rain again and, have a fun one. At least the Truck Series race is a night race. Yeah, I mean, when there's a triple header, the trucks are usually on Friday night, so that works out well. But, yeah, for sure. I saw something online that a reliable source says Austin Dillon may step down and Gragson would take the car with Bass Pro with a different number. Who's your source? I don't know who the source is. I don't know if this was I'm just curious who the source is. But I know there's been a lot of rumors and chatter about RCR potentially buying a third charter for Noah Gragson. But, Austin Dillon stepping down for sure. That's the only way he's out of that car. They're not going to fire him. They're not going to boot him out. He's Richard Childress' grandson. When he's had enough, when he wants to go to the front office, then he'll go, or they'll have a quiet conversation behind closed doors and say, look, man, we need someone else in the car. You're great. You have a great mind for the front office. You have a great mind. You understand the business. You got Kyle Busch here. You're going to do perfect here. But right now, we just don't think you're quite right for the driver's seat. So, yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of ties for Gragson to RCR, but I haven't seen anything on Dillon, stepping away. So, I mean, it's possible. It could happen any day. I just don't know when. It could be tomorrow. It could be next year. It could be in 13 years. It could be in 27 years. I don't know. Boyer in the truck race Friday night. Yeah, that'll be fun. I'll be watching that. Curious to see how he does. He's going to be in a competitive truck. Kyle Busch has won a couple races in that truck this year. Connor Zilic got a pole at COTA, so that's a competitive truck. I'm curious to see how Boyer does. Do you see improvements in SVG's oval driving? Is this car good enough to win on an oval, and does he deserve a cup ride if the oval experience is so small? Asks Dan Jazz 2000. That's a good question. I'd say for a guy who's never raced on ovals before, he's actually doing a decent job keeping it clean and consistently being top 20. Colleague has struggled compared to normal, but you look at AJ Allmendinger, he's still consistently top 10. But I'd say he's doing decent on the ovals. Obviously, he hasn't done anything like extraordinary yet, I would say. I know he has that third at Atlanta. He has the sixth at Phoenix, but Atlanta's a super speedway, and super speedways, things happen, and sometimes you can fluke in a sense your finish. And the Phoenix thing, there were just some late cautions, and he had some really good restarts. He was running 15th, I think, for the majority of that day. So, and that's not to tear him down. That's not to say he didn't deserve them. I mean, the fact of the matter is he finished third and sixth. But I would say he's improving. There's certain tracks, like I look at the mile and a halves, like Charlotte. Like Charlotte, he was on pace to have a potential top 10 day if he didn't get put in the wall late. So there's certain tracks that I feel like he's making some improvements on. But when he gets the cup, it's going to be a completely different ball game. It's going to be a much more competitive field, much better drivers, and then also, it's a completely different car. In terms of the road courses, there's no question that he's going to be able to compete for wins. But the ovals, as you said, is the question. But also Trackhouse, if they are truly opening a third car, who else are they going to get? They have so many drivers under contract. They have Zane Smith. They have Connor Dillich. He's too young right now. So it's really Zane Smith versus Shane Van Gisbergen. Zane Smith's been terrible this year. I mean, there's no other way to put it. He's having a terrible rookie season. Everything that can go wrong has gone wrong. And SVG in his few starts hasn't looked, necessarily like fantastic out of this world, but he's had some flashes. Talladega, he led a couple laps. Coda, he qualified 13th or 14th. And I know you're looking at Shane Van Gisbergen, you look at the Chicago win and whatnot, but he's in a Colleague car, and Colleague in Cup this year has sucked. Daniel Hemrick's like 31st in the points. The 16, AJ Allmendinger got a top 10 at Sonoma. That's about the only top 10 I can think of. Like, they've been pretty bad this year. So I still think that he ends up in the 97 or whatever they label that third Trackhouse car. I still think he ends up there. But he's been decent on the ovals. Once again, nothing extraordinary in terms of consistency, but he's had some flashes of potential for sure. Random question, mac and cheese or mashed potatoes? I will go mashed potatoes, but they're both good. I had Truex Jr. going back-to-back in New Hampshire. Rough day for Truex. I know he was fast early, but that wreck kind of set him back. But then he came back and he got a top 10. It was so random. Like the rain, he was able to make up some time. And then with the late race chaos, McDowell like kamikazing Blaney. And then, Chastain spinning, some other guys wrecking. Like he somehow snuck out a top 10. Somehow, some way. In his last race there. How about Carson Kvapil with the top 5 Saturday? He's going to be awesome. He's impressing me. Yeah, I think he has a top 5 in all of his starts this year. Dover, he was competing for the win. Was it Richmond or Martinsville? He also got a top 5. And then also, of course, this past weekend in New Hampshire. Yeah, he's impressing. Dale Jr. always talks about they like to put these short track guys in the cars whenever they can get funding for them, whether it's Bubba Pollard, whether it's Carson Kvapil. And obviously, they got that funding for Kvapil for a few races, and he's impressed. I mean, he's opened some eyes, so I for sure hope he gets some more of an opportunity. He's done great in that 88 car. He should borderline have a win by now. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do in more starts. It's been a while since Chevy has won. We could see the downfall and the advantage of Toyota and Ford having the new body into play. Larson won at Sonoma 2 weeks ago, but in terms of an oval, yeah, you gotta go a little bit farther back. Ooh, let me think. Oval. Kansas? Was Kansas with Larson the last time Chevy's won on an oval? Wow, that's kind of crazy. I mean, as I said, Hendrick has really been it this year. Suarez won at Atlanta, but other than that, Byron's got 3 wins. Elliott has a win. Larson has 3 wins. I don't think anyone else at Chevy has a win. So, as you said, the more that Toyota and Ford learn about their new bodies and, figure things out aerodynamically, if Chevy's not catching up in a sense, then, they're going to be on the back foot. So yeah, I mean, they could be struggling heading into the playoffs, but I still feel really good about my preseason championship prediction. Christopher Bell. I feel good about it. Yes, I do. Corey Hine making his debut in Cup. His 23-11 debut. Don't forget, he did drive the 43 for a couple weeks, but yes, he is making his debut for 23-11. I'm excited to see how he does. I thought the source was Bob, but somebody, I may be wrong about the Dylan deal. Yeah, I mean, you know, the internet, there's so much out there. It's kind of tough to remember where you see stuff, but and also to separate like real rumors versus fake and like made up internet memes. Internet's wild. Point being, you think Truex wins on Sunday at Nashville? Says in between the lanes. Ty Dillon outran both Kyle and his brother. Oh, you mean Ty Dillon's brother? Yeah, tough. Anthony Alfredo's going to nuke the Xfinity Series playoff bubble by winning at Daytona. Was that you that said that last week? It was either you or someone else said the same thing last week. Yeah, the Xfinity playoff bubble, it's not as tight as the Cup bubble in terms of points, but if we get a new winner that's below that cutoff line, then it becomes tight. Like if Alfredo wins at Daytona, if Jeremy Clements wins a road course, if we get a fuel mileage race and Josh Williams wins. I don't know, I just threw a name out there. But, yeah, we're like one Xfinity winner away that's 13th or worse in the points from the playoff field being nuked, as you said. So, yeah. Moved up to 9th in fantasy. Fantasy! Once I catch up on these comments, I will get to fantasy. NASCAR fan 93-100. Hope you're doing well. Crazy racing yesterday. Yeah, the rain tires. I feel like I was a bit too harsh on NASCAR in a sense. I didn't say it enough. I might not have said it at all. But the fact that we have rain tires on ovals is truly a remarkable thing. 3 years ago, we would not have had this at all. And the fact that we got this full race in because we had those wet weather tires is incredible. I applaud NASCAR. I applaud Goodyear. But once again, I hope that NASCAR lets go of the hand. They let the teams figure this out. They're big boys. They're big girls. They can figure it out themselves. So, yeah, I mean, that's just a summary of my thoughts. I hope that they just let the teams do it. And I get why that they're paranoid just with the track and the speeds and the pit road. But I think there's got to be a point where we let go of the team's hands in a sense. So maybe, and you know, one of the big things is drying off pit road. Maybe you just park the cars on the back stretch for 15, 20 minutes and go down pit road, put the air titans there, get the jet dryers out there, have the teams do their little squeegee thing and, you know, figure it out, you know. Let the driver press interview. Will you do more when you're there? Asked Colin. Oh, let's see. I mean, I got to apply for the credentials, and there's no guarantee I can get in. The reason I got into Darlington is because I know someone there, which was a big help, obviously. I'm very thankful to him. But as for everywhere else, I can't guarantee that I get in. I feel like I have a decent following, but, you know, NASCAR, you know, they don't want to let bozos in. You know, the tracks don't want to let random people in. So I understand, like, when I get rejected from some of these passes, like, I understand why. Like, they are professional. They want to appear professional and, you know, kind of in that middle ground of, you know, transitioning where digital media and, you know, internet, that's become like a big thing. I know these past few years, obviously, it's blown up and there's a few people that get in and whatnot, but NASCAR, they're a professional sport. They want to appear professional. So I understand, like, if I don't get in, like, I'm not going to be mad at NASCAR because, once again, I understand I have a decent following, but it's not, like, mega to the point that I'm moving mountains or anything. So if I can get back in, that's great. But if not, then sorry, it just didn't work out, I guess. So I checked the New Hampshire standings for fantasy. You were in first place. Yeah, I logged in at that point. That's when I made the switch. I put Truex in for Brad, I think. Or no, not Truex. I put who did I put in? I can't remember. It might have been Joey. I don't know. But yeah, like my guys were running second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. And I was like, oh man, like this is my day to win a fantasy race. Then Joey Logano crashed and kind of ruined it, but he did have 17 stage points to make up for it. New Hampshire 2024 surpassed Martinsville 2022 in regards to the worst performances of KFB's career. Oh, I remember that. Now that you mention it, I remember that. Kyle Busch ran dead last on speed or something. Like he was 4 laps down by the end of stage 1 or something. I mean, Joe Gibbs Racing gave him a crap box, and that's an understatement. So, yeah, I remember what you were talking about. I just remember Josh Berry was in my garage, and I put him in for Brad. That's what it was. See, I knew I'd remember at some point. Parker Retzlaff and Leland Honeyman Jr. are 2 talented young drivers who deserve top equipment. Parker Retzlaff has impressed me this year. He started the year out with like 3 or 4 top 5s in a row, and it was like extremely impressive. I know a couple were super speedways, but I think he got a top 5 at Vegas, maybe, I want to say. Maybe it was Phoenix. I don't know. One of those races. So he's impressed me this year. Leland Honeyman's he's done decent. But yeah, I've been impressed with Retzlaff for sure. A Truck Series playoff update. Yes, I can. The NASCAR Truck Series playoff picture is this. I already have the tab pulled out, so you don't have to wait that long. Christian Eckes is in with 2 wins. Well, hold on. That's not the playoff picture. Corey Haim's in with 3 wins. Nick Sanchez is in with 2 wins. Raja Caruth is in with a win. Ty Majeski is plus 149, so he's probably 1 or 2 races away from locking in a spot on points. Taylor Gray's up 72 points. He's pretty safe. Tyler Ankram's plus 49, and I'd say he feels decent, but a lot can happen in the Nash trucks, as we all know. Ben Rhodes plus 36, Tanner Gray plus 28, and Grant Enfinger plus 26. And then Stuart Friesen minus 26, Daniel Dye minus 37, Matt Crafton minus 46, Chase Purdy minus 52. Everyone else is a race or more behind, and I would say has to win. So, yeah. It's not that tight, but it's still tight enough, I guess. Michael Annette. Did you notice who SVG hit in the pileup? Yeah, he hit Austin Hill. I mean, obviously it wasn't intentional. He was avoiding a wreck, and he didn't see the 21 and say, oh, I'm going to gas it up and into him. Like, he was trying to avoid the wreck, and it's just a coincidence. But it was pretty funny, just the timing of it and who it was. But, yeah, I thought that was funny too. One more random question. Do you prefer ice cream or cake? Why not both? Cake, ice cream, cake. Ice cream cake. Yeah, I bet you didn't see that answer coming. Ice cream cake is amazing. See, there's cake, and then there's ice cream cake. Joey Logano and team had some Hunt Brothers pizza. Oh, yeah, I forgot. Logano ran a Hunt Brothers pizza car, but it was red. Usually that car is green, so I was baffled. Not baffled, but it was like, why is that car red? It looked better than the green one. The green car with the red 22 just doesn't look natural, and it bothers me. So I'd much prefer the red. Heim wins the Trucks Championship, gets revenge after 2023. Yeah, he was my preseason championship prediction. I think he was a lot of people's, though. He's in great equipment, and he himself is a great driver who's on the verge of a cup seat, I think. But obviously, this format does not promote consistency. It does not promote getting what did he have? 12 top 5s and 23 races, you know? It doesn't promote that. It promotes one race shootout. If you get into someone, they're going to get back into you. It's just how this format goes, and most of you know my opinion on it. So all Annette ever did in his career was the 2019 Power Shares QQQ 300. I don't even know what that is. I know he won a couple of races, like very randomly. I think it was at Vegas, maybe. But what's your opinion on the Greg Galding news? What Greg Galding news? Just give me a second. I'm just going to Google this or Twitter this or Buzz, Bling, Facegram, Insta Chat, Instabook, whatever it's called. Greg Galding. What does Greg Galding have to do with anything? Greg Galding. News. Oh my. This was a few months ago. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, that's not good. He got arrested for domestic violence. Yeah, that's bad. If he's guilty, then he's kind of done for, so it's kind of not great. Nah, that's bad. Josh Berry won Las Vegas and Michael Lynette's number one event. Maybe that's what I was thinking of. I knew the one car won at Vegas with the Pilot or whatever Annette's sponsor was, but I forgot that Josh Berry subbed for him when he had his leg injury, you know. So, yeah. I knew someone won at Vegas in junior motorsports. I just couldn't remember who. But oh, let's look at the fantasy standings while we are at it. So we have a fantasy league. If you haven't joined, it's never too late. You'll be behind in the standings, but the playoffs, I think there's playoffs in this thing. So if you want to join, go for it. Let me get there first. But we got a fantasy league. Feel free to join. It's a fun time. I'm trying to put the stupid link in the chat, but it's not working. There you go. And pin that. There we go. All right, so here are your fantasy league standings. Dan the Jets fan leads. Zerkman 95 second. Big Hat LJ is in third. Dr. Zero is in fourth. Fifth place is Pins _22. Sixth place is RT Racing. Seventh place is me. I moved up a spot. I had a good week this week. Joey Logano wrecking really hurt me. I could have had another 30 or 40 points, but I'll take it. I'll take the points. Eighth place is It Factor Autosport Incorporated. Ninth place is Hell on Wheels 24. 10th place is Matt Smith 53. 11th place is PC _18. I almost said 14. Otterbear 8 is 12th. 13th is Mike MLB 15. 15th is Tyler Hernandez. 15th is Stevie G. 16th is Shane Van Hamburger Buns. And 17th is 45 and 2311 Fan. So there's your fantasy rankings. If you want to join, once again, you have the little link that you can click. You can join our league. It's just for fun, just a fun time. No prize, no anything fancy like that. We'll get to that point next year, I hope. But as I said, it's a fun time. NASCAR fantasy. I don't know what I'm doing, but maybe one of you do. At least 6 of you know what you're doing, but I do not. Oh boy, my laptop's getting loud. Lovely. But yes. How did we start talking about Michael and Annette? It's so random. Looking ahead to Nashville next week. Nashville. So, last week, I had said that Christopher Bell was my early week pick, and then I picked against him. So, that was kind of dumb of me. I'll take the L there. That was stupid. But as for this week, Nashville. Chevy is 2 for 2, or 3 for 3 overall, 2 for 2 in the next gen era. Larson, Elliott, and Chastain. Chastain ran really well in this race last year, but I don't think they have speed this year, so I'm not going to say him. For some reason, Chase Elliott is really good here. He's good at the concrete tracks, Dover, Nashville. It's a mile and a third, I think, and I don't know why, but, you know, he won that race 2 years ago. Last year, he ran in the top 5, and that was one of his only top 5s of the year, and despite how bad they were last year. So I'm actually going to go Chase Elliott. I know they haven't shown a lot of winning speed this year, but as I said, just for some reason in the next gen era, he's been really good here. But I expect Toyota to be really good. I expect Tyler Reddick was running up front in this race before he had a wheel come undone. Truex ran. He had winning speed in this race last year, so it could very well be Martin Truex Jr. Byron and Larson were top 5 last year, I think. One of them was. If the other one wasn't, then they were 6th or 7th. But, yeah, I'd say I'm going to pick Elliott right now, but I think Larson, Byron, Hamlin, Truex, Reddick's, your typical intermediate contenders will be up front for sure. But I'm going to go with Chase Elliott here on Monday. Josh Williams has been so disappointing this year. Finally gets a shot in top equipment, being 18th in points. Yeah, he's been disappointing for sure. But also, Colleague's been struggling. But at the same time, AJ's top 10 in the points, I think. SVG, I know they're road courses, but he's won a couple races, and he's 13th or 14th in points. So, I would think that Josh Williams would take advantage of SVG learning some of these ovals and, make up a lot of points there, but apparently not. I know he had a horrific start to the year, had a bunch of DNFs and whatnot, but the speed just hasn't been there. So, as you said, disappointing for sure. Predicting Byron to win, Ben Simmons to win at Nashville. Hopefully he doesn't have to go to the free throw line, or else he's not winning. But yeah, Nashville, fun track for sure. So, yeah. Grant, you're going to get yelled at in the comments, just FYI. He's from New Zealand. But good try, I guess. I know you know this. But anyways, Nashville, fun track, good facility. The only problem, I went to this race last year, and it took forever to get out of there in terms of traffic. It was not fun, the traffic. So if you're going to the Cup race, hopefully they have the traffic situation more situated. If not, then get a podcast loaded up, roll down the windows, bring a blanket, one of those sleep masks or whatever. Just kind of get ready to sit in the parking lot for a long time because it took forever to get out last year. So seriously, brace yourself. It took a couple hours, if I remember correctly. Michael and that, he struggled at times. He had a couple wins in his career. He wasn't doing what Sam Mayer's doing right now, what Noah Gragson did, what Chase Elliott did, what William Byron did in that equipment. So, to an extent, you can call him out. He didn't do as good as he should have, but, Ty Gibbs to win Nashville, that's a good pick. He's run really good at the intermediates, top 5 at Vegas. Had a lot of speed at Texas, just everything went wrong for him. They had a fire in their pit stall. I think they had a penalty at one point. I think they had a loose wheel. I can't remember how they did Charlotte. Kansas, I think they were top 10. So, yeah, Ty Gibbs for sure could be an exciting pick to get his first win at Nashville. Truex for you. Yeah, Truex, same situation. Top 5 at Vegas. He had top 5 speed. He ended up finishing 6th or 7th. Texas, he had speed, but Texas just got so freaky at the end of that race. What other intermediates? Kansas, he was hunting down Hamlin for the win. Should have won that thing if it wasn't for a late race caution. So, yeah, Truex once again a great pick. And as I said, Truex ran so well in this race last year. I picked Kyle Busch to miss the playoffs this year for many reasons. You knew RCR was going to be off. Sold his truck team, didn't do great in Xfinity starts last year. No, I had him as a lock, so I'm the opposite of you. I thought he would make the playoffs even if they struggled, that he'd point his way in. But, yeah, it's not going too well. I hate this laptop. This is the last week of this laptop's life, so it's the last time you ever have to hear this screaming noise. But it's been a struggle for Kyle Busch this year. Ryan Blaney hit the wall at Nashville. Yeah, that was on the opposite side of the track as me, but I remember everyone had like an audible ooh, like when he hit the wall. So, yeah, that was a hard hit. Just the way the barriers are there, it's kind of weird, and I don't think there was a safer barrier or there were any tires there at the time, so they fixed it, but at the time it was not fun for Blaney. Alex Bowman, when's the last time someone has won the sponsor of the race with the sponsor of the car? Like, did Joey Logano win the Pennzoil 400 a couple of years ago, I think? That's the last one I can think of. Yeah, Brandon Jones has not been doing too hot this year. He's below the cutoff line, I think. They've had random flashes of like almost race-winning speed. Like I remember Texas. He was top 3 before the end of the race, and the strategies got all freaky. He was randomly top 3 there. He was randomly top 3 somewhere else. But they've had a lot of mechanical failures this year too, which kind of sucks for them. But yeah, for sure, random. I don't know why, but it's weird. Yeah, there's been some reports on the schedule. I can't even with NASCAR, man. Homestead's out of the playoffs. What else? Homestead's out of the playoffs. Watkins Glen is only going to get 1 year in the playoffs. Like, why put it in if you're only going to be there for 1 year? And then Gateway and New Hampshire are in. What? I genuinely don't understand that decision. Gateway was good this year. New Hampshire, the rain really kind of saved that race. But why? Why are we subbing Homestead out? Homestead should be, under this format, should be the championship race or should be in the round of 8. I don't know why I'm questioning this. It's not gonna. Me complaining is not going to change anything. Even though I do it a lot, it's not going to change anything. But I'll once the schedule's official, I'll go more into it. I'll go into more of a rant about why that's stupid to kick Homestead out. But yeah, that report on the schedule, I don't get it, man. I don't get what they're thinking there. I'm not gonna lie. When I heard that there were rumblings on the schedule being changed and the playoffs, like a surprise track going in, a surprise track going out, I really thought they were going to put Texas back in the playoffs and boot out Homestead or Martinsville. But turns out Homestead's losing a date to New Hampshire or Gateway. Yeah, I don't get that one. That's kind of dumb. Yeah, the Thunder made a trade. We'll see if it works out. Ooh, yeah. Well, I've got some things to do, so I'm going to leave you guys early tonight, but thank you for showing up here. I'm glad we got to do this live stream. I enjoy doing this every week, so make sure to tune in next week, as you always do. Always appreciate the questions, always appreciate the time. So Chase Briscoe to JGR is supposed to be announced tomorrow, so look out for that video. Any other news, I'll let you know. And then Nashville, we got a triple header, so it should be fun. But, yeah, I'll see you guys later. Have a good one.